Knock, knock, it's Knuckles, and welcome to the one, the only, Sonic Fan Game Reviews. And today we're actually going to be looking at a game that was requested by one of you fans. Special thanks to this guy for bringing this game to my attention because it's a great one. Sonic Dimensions is a fan game based off the Sonic Advance and Sonic Rush trilogies. And while it does have some small flaws, overall, it understands what made those games so much fun and does a great job on innovating on that formula, as well as removing some of the shortcomings of those games. So let's get into it. Much like the entire game, Sonic's moveset here is a combination of the Sonic Advance trilogy and the Sonic Rush trilogy. You can spin dash, but most of the time you'll be using the boost. Sonic's mid-air abilities include the Stomp move, air tricks when you've just come off a ramp or spring, and the light speed dash when you're near a trail of rings. Shadow, who's also playable in this game, has a few extra moves as well to make him a bit unique from Sonic. I'm a fan of this moveset, but I'm not a huge fan of the button layout. For the most part it's fine, but there's just too many things mapped to the B button. It's the same problem that Sonic Adventure 2 has. With so many things being mapped to one button, you're bound to do the wrong move at the wrong time and get hurt or fall into a bottomless pit. The Stomp, air tricks, and lightspeed dash are all mapped to this button. I'll admit this might just be a me issue, but I seem to keep forgetting that you could only use air tricks after a spring or something like that. So I kept stomping instead, sometimes into bottomless pits. Same thing can happen if you try to use the lightspeed dash but you aren't right on the ring trail. Why couldn't the lightspeed dash be mapped to the Y button like in most other Sonic games? There's not even anything else on that button. Well, unless you're Shadow. While the button layout could use some tweaking, the movement and momentum feels great and the buttons are responsive. It's a 2D Sonic game, so it's kinda hard to mess that up. Unless you're Sonic Team. Okay, there are some issues with the control. My preferred way to play these games is with a USB controller because it feels the most natural to me. But if you plug in a USB controller to play the game, you are forced to use the analog stick to move your character. You can't use the D-pad in a 2D game. As many of you probably already know, analog control makes any 2D game harder to control, just like the D-pad does to 3D games. Not only does this issue make your basic movement less precise, it wreaks havoc on your air tricks. When you bounce off a spring or ramp, you can choose to either launch Sonic forward by pressing forward and B, or do a sort of double jump by pressing up and B. On keyboard, there's no problem here, but with the analog stick on your USB controller, you have to be pressing perfectly upward to do the double jump. If it's even like a single degree to the right, Sonic springs forward. This makes the beginning of Cosmic Tempest Zone a special kind of pain in the ass, because you need to double jump to reach this cloud. But aside from the analog stick issue, like I said, the game controls very well. The momentum feels just like the Sonic Advance games. The level design in this game is fantastic. I remember the first time I played any of the handheld Sonic games. I was in 7th grade going on a trip to New Orleans with my family, and my cousin had let me borrow his DS and the games he had for it, so I'd have something to play during the trip. One of those games was Sonic Advance 2. I remember playing it all the time during the trip, replaying the levels when I was bored to try and get to those higher pathways I saw as I rushed by in my earlier playthroughs, feeling a sense of satisfaction when I found faster and faster ways to beat each level. The DIMP Sonic games have always had their level design flaws, like too many bottomless pits, but every game seemed to carry with it the good qualities that began in the Sonic Advance series. And I can tell when I play Sonic Dimensions that the creators of this game have a great understanding of what made those games so enjoyable. Boosting through these levels brought me right back to that New Orleans trip, but without the flaws that usually plague DIMP's level design. While I did fall into bottomless pits, it was usually my fault. There are plenty of signs around to broadcast where a bottomless pit is. The only times where it wasn't my fault was when my character did the wrong B button move like I mentioned earlier, which isn't a level design issue. There are multiple paths in each level which can all be reached without breaking your flow. This encourages mastery and memorization of the levels. This game also includes hub worlds, which look a lot like the ones from Sonic Advance Free. Except unlike the ones in that game, these hub worlds actually don't suck. They are very simple to navigate, you can backtrack easily by jumping into this giant ring, but the best part is you can switch characters with the push of a button. No more of that Sonic Advance 3 bullcrap, having to go all the way back to the beginning of the already confusing ass hub world just to switch characters, only to realize you didn't like the combination you picked and having to do it all over again. If you can't tell, I'm still a little bit sour about Sonic Advance 3's hub worlds. Dimensions hubs are simple and non-intrusive, and they add something to the game by contextualizing each level and giving you a safe space to get used to the controls. So good job to the devs. While most of the inspiration for this game clearly comes from the Dimp's Handheld trilogies, elements of the classic series often make it into Dimensions as well. I think these mechanics are implemented well and can help give the game a little bit more uniqueness. For example, the teleportation orbs from Sky Sanctuary Zone make a reappearance in this game. They also let you use a snowboard in the first level to snowboard on water. Now that's pretty rad. Some of the Act 2s in this game aren't finished yet, which is totally fine because you can still progress in the game anyway. But there is a bit of an issue here. You won't know if it's unfinished until you reach a firewall in the level somewhere that you can't pass. I really wish there was some sort of graphic next to the level ring to let you know it's incomplete, so you don't have to waste your time with it in the first place. But if not that, the developers could have at least put one at the firewall. The first time I encountered a firewall in the game, I thought it was some sort of obstacle, so I tried everything I could to get around it, spending several minutes trying every path through the level to see if I could pass through this firewall. It wasn't until I opened up the README that I found out it was just an unfinished stage. I know I probably should have read the README before starting the game, but sometimes you just want to jump right in, you know? And it wouldn't hurt to just put up a stage unfinished sign near the firewall. This game has a good bit of replayability as well. As I mentioned before, these stages are ripe for replays, as there are multiple paths you can get to improve your time, but there are other incentives as well. First of all, it has both Sonic and Shadow as playable characters, and they each play a little different from each other. Shadow has extra moves, such as Chaos Blast and Roaming Chaos. Secondly, if you do well enough in a stage, you can go to a bonus room where you can collect extra lives and power-ups. This is basically the same as the Gumball Machine bonus stage from Sonic 3. But best of all, the 7 Chaos Emeralds can be obtained in order to unlock Super Sonic and Super Shadow. And then of course you can run through the stages once again as the super versions of the characters. And now you are basically invincible and can go super fast. You unlock the emeralds by getting S ranks. The first few stages aren't too hard to S rank, but there's a sudden difficulty spike when you get to Misty Ruin Act 1. You have to play the stage pretty much perfect in order to get the S rank, and the stages after it follow suit as well. Overall, I'd say Sonic Dimensions is a good game. Definitely worth checking out if you liked any of the Sonic Advance or Sonic Rush games. It's not perfect, as the button layout could be improved or at least be made more customizable, but the developers have done a great job here, and I wish them the best of luck with their future projects. While some of the S ranks were a little bit hard to get, I definitely had a great time replaying these stages and getting to check out the higher pathways that you can reach once you've memorized them. It brought me right back to how I felt when I played Sonic Advance 2 all those years ago on that trip. So definitely give this game a look-see if you enjoy these types of Sonic games. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Sonic Fan Game Reviews. Next time we're going to be looking at the second episode of a game that you may remember I wasn't a huge fan of. That's right, we're going to be reviewing Sonic 2020 episode Shadow of Water. And I'm very excited to find out if it's any better than episode White Jungle. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to check out some of my others. I've got plenty of other Sonic fan game reviews on this channel that you can check out, as well as a second channel called Epic Zacko, where my friends and I make our very own superhero films. In fact, we're almost done with the 3rd episode of our series, and that'll be coming out in the coming weeks. This has been the one and only Knuckles, and I'm headed back to Angel Island now. Have a great week.